And we are live.
Hello there. It's all like not the thing is not playing anymore, so I'm not talking over MLK like a shot
No, I
Shakira.
decided not to make that mistake this week.
Mm-hmm. Still in the bit, and I gotta
You're
really actually
sharing the links out. I know.
yeah, but if I'm writing the blurb together of like what we're going to like talk about as a were, I was actually preparing, but I'm doing it last minute as I always do, as we're um.
Because you don't put in enough work to this show. I mean, I came up with the title, and that was about it. Hello, Sasha.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Now that you become a cat, the cat is like now. Well, maybe the cat's not in view of the camera and something like that. But at least you say hello, everyone. This morning, the weekly digest of a bunch of anime.
Wow,
What
I
is
would
it?
never have suspected that of him. Russell
Oh,
Brand has been accused of sexually assaulting multiple women.
that's what is what I'm going to talk about. Like, yeah, like I saw that BBC like article too.
Hmm.
It does relate to like someone else that has just been convicted, as it were. Geek, you're a white man. It is your job to like talk and over
To talk
MLK.
over milk. We note that he said the one thing the one time, and we ignore the rest of it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, that's
He
enough of it.
was. He would have been a communist, except that he bought into the propaganda that in order to be a communist, you have to be an atheist. There are Christian communists out there.
Yes,
They're wrong,
I
but
say.
they're wrong because they're Christians, not because they're communists.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's enough there. And then I'm just gonna copy pasta that link to all the places as it were and all the discords. And so, like, I see you there, Osman the Dark, Joey and Dishes. Joey, I hope you're doing well too, as well. Because I know that you're probably like recovering from like the surgery and that sort of thing too, and hope that went well, and hope that everything is going well. And like, also I hope that you get the money that you need in order to keep the lights on, because I know that you were talking about that before. And now I got the blurb together. I'm just going to copy pasta to old social media sites, co-host Tumblr, um, Blue Sky. Haha, I
And
am
really
on this.
quick, Julie got married. Julie got
Yes,
married.
our friend Little Ano got married yesterday. We weren't there for the actual ceremony. It was just like at the like government office of things.
And
She
there
was
was a
not here.
problem with the Wi-Fi there, so she couldn't connect us. But
Mm,
we did get to see, all of her friends there gathered to eat cake at her house.
mm. Yeah, and I'm just not gonna post any tags on co-host. That's fine. And now I have to take just the link and put it to like a Tumblr as well. So how's everyone doing? How are you doing, John Brockman?
I am doing well. Been up since surprisingly early this morning. I am probably going to have to take a nap this afternoon.
Yes. Naps, what are those? The naps, the things that like we all dread when we were kids, but now we kind of like look forward to it. I refuse to do naps, as it were. I would just like drink a bunch of caffeine. I
Caffeine
don't know
puts me to
why.
sleep.
Well, yeah, okay, there's definitely that, and like it doesn't seem to like work that well, that much to me, or it doesn't have
Well,
that
I mean,
much.
there's the point that any drug, you'll become accustomed to it. So,
True, it probably is that. But it's just like now some people do actually drink. Hey, Mister, how you doing? You're on time this time. But like you did, no matter what time that people come in, it's just great and awesome for like people who come in and whatever it is and what it's on about. Okay, there we go. Posted Blue Sky now to all of the discords. And then have the space there on that, and then copy that as such, and then blah blah blah. So yes, neurodivergence always factors in with caffeine, exactly. Because yeah, it's like.
ADHD, yeah.
As I drink caffeine to like fall asleep, and no, that's very true for a lot of people. It's it does. I think I like to think it does help me keep up as sort. It certainly will make me more jittery in some ways, which may mean that like it's a bad thing. I should like. Well, I have like actually mentally, consciously tried to like reduce my caffeine consumption or be mindful of like if I reach the like 400 milligrams limit and that sort of thing too. Um, but yeah, caffeine, one hell of a drug. I had tried to like not drink caffeine in a day, a work day. That was a mistake because I, no, I just could not. Oh my god, I was like, if I don't think I. Well, fortunately, also if I just tried to like just like get rid of caffeine. Let's see what I have right next to me on my desk right here. Midnight Energy. G Fuel. This is the like Sonic Rings. This is the Peach Rings flavor. It's actually quite good. I like it. And
Joe, we don't need to hear about your sex toys. I mean,
can't sleep when I'm always vibrating. And also all these gamer slurps. So much caffeine that I have. It's just like if I have to like go through all of that before I wean off caffeine. If I decide to wean off caffeine anytime soon. Now just like sharing to like all the discords as well. And hopefully, like people that the new people I share the Discord to, is just like it's fine as it were. Because I'm planning to share this like stream.
okay, looking at Russell Brand and Jared Leto, you just can't trust white guys with long brown hair and beards.
Mm-hmm.
Geek.
Yeah. Jesus, God, Jesus was right. Aren't okay? You are bald and you don't have the long hair. You just have a beard. That's maybe what I should do. But I wear hats. Doesn't that count?
The picture I'm looking at here of Russell Brand, he's wearing a fancy hat.
Damn it. Well, I also have a first and last name for a first and middle.
Also, you are an NB, so.
Yes, non-binary. Mm-hmm. And maybe there's that. Mm-hmm. So I can. It's not that I choose not to be a man. It's just like sometimes I'm just not a man. But yes, non-binary people can be whatever they want to be.
Except they should choose not to be sexual predators.
Well, that's yeah. You're not choose to be sexual predators as well. Yes, exactly. It's like. Cause yeah, that's one of the stories that I have a link to the BBC that we can cover. But yeah, 4 women that came forward with allegations against Russell Brand for like sexual assault and rape, all between like 2006 and 2013 or something like that. Russell Brand has denied the allegations, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yet there's like a lot of like the Times has has a medical record of like the rape that like one of the women reported that like was at the hands of Russell Brand. And so like at this point it's just like I didn't have any. I don't know if I've seen any movie that Russell Brand has done. I
know he's a comedian and he's done some stuff with BBC. I know he's on YouTube, and I know he's some sort of alt health douchebag who's anti-vax. I think
okay, if he's anti-vax, it's like, okay, that's a reason not to like him, and for that as well. But like, yeah, I just like he was just like, hey, Contact Fresh, how you doing? He was just like someone who was like there and then starts starring in the movies and stuff like that. I don't think any of the movies have like ever done this. That was a caffeine reference. Also has like had the guts to use a vibrating sex aid on myself.
I know. I was being facetious. Because I'm forgetting Sarah Marshall. Get Him to the Greek, Despicable Me, Despicable Me 2, Trolls, Arthur. He's been in a few things, but mostly it looks like he's a BBC guy and a YouTube guy. But let me just double check. He's
So
anti-vax.
yeah, here is the BBC article about Russell Brand, and again, it's like for me, it's just like I don't know. At one point, it was just like I guess if one woman come forward, that'll be that's where I'll start believing. But like if four women come forward, I don't need to believe anymore. But it's just like yeah,
Yep. Like with what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson. A woman came forward, said that he did some stuff in college. I
think
don't
there was
think
like
any
three
others. Were there others that came forward for?
As well, I don't think that they come forward publicly. I was trying to look at actually research the Neil deGrasse Tyson allegations. That for sure one woman has come forward like publicly and said this is who I am and stuff like that. And like Neil deGrasse Tyson, there were like others, but I'm not sure if they come forward. I have to like research that to like know if like Neil deGrasse Tyson has done anything else. Other than that. But yeah, still.
Yeah. So one
so,
person,
like,
but what I've seen, yeah, I just did a big Googling. So, I mean, I don't doubt he could have done something very inappropriate or even harmful. But it looks like it wasn't a pattern of misconduct. It sounds like it was a single terrible thing he did. Whereas when you have multiple women coming forward, it's a pattern of behavior, and you absolutely need to get the fuck rid of that guy.
Yeah, one of the victims was 16 at the time too, so it's just like, yeah, and she said like, oh, what did she say? It was like, let's mention the BBC article.
All I saw was the thing that said that they were investigating the allegations. They didn't really discuss the allegations themselves.
One woman that's, yeah, apparently at one time the woman was at like Russell Brand's like house and something like that, and she ran into the car. Thank God that like I didn't park in his driveway and like book it out of there as well. So that tells you that. Um. Oh yeah. No. The woman was telling you like to get off of her. The woman was telling Russell Brand to get off of her. So it's just like yeah. The woman who was 16 when and she met Brand and told the time she took her allegation. Okay, yeah, no, I was like, yeah, it's like either like Russell Brand or like someone in the interactions with the 16-year-old like described it as grooming, as it were. And so that's where it's like, but it's like I think it's just like still it's horrible and despicable that Russell Brand did to the 16-year-old at the time, and it's like as well as to like the other women as well, regardless of the age. Oh no! Okay, no. The woman said who was 16 when she started first come in contact with Brand and told the Sunday Times Russell engaged in the behaviors of a groomer. Looking back, but I didn't even know what that was then or what it looked like. That's the word. Okay, yeah, and that's the woman who just like ran into the car as well too. Yeah.
One woman said, "Oof." I don't want to get into too much details, but she was treated at a rape crisis center the same day.
Yeah.
Next one, 16, during an abusive, controlling relationship. Referred to her as the child. Ugh.
Yes.
Third woman worked with him in Los Angeles, and that he threatened legal action if she tried to tell anyone. Another being physically and emotionally abusive, as well as sexual assault. Jesus Christ.
Counter mentioned Brand was also married to Katy Perry and then was jerk about her religion and which he knew before they were together. It's
yeah, she started as a Christian music artist. Yeah, I mean, I would be a jerk about her religion too, but I wouldn't marry her first.
Well, yeah, exactly, because it's just like if you know that about like her as you going into a relationship, so why continue to be a jerk about it if you?
No,
like,
because he was just using her for sex and probably popularity.
Probably.
Because I think Katy Perry's bigger than Russell Brand.
Actually, I think I agree. Yeah, because I actually know of Katy Perry, her like pop songs that were big and like popular. She got big with like "I Kiss Girl" and "I Like It."
And I think that he probably would have been abusive about that too. That was the thing that triggered Johnny Depp in his relationship with Amber Heard. One of the things that he abused her about was the fact that she's bisexual.
Yeah.
A lot of cishet white dude just cishet men, or just het men, let's be honest, can be very insecure about that. They sexualize it and then they insist that, hey, bisexual must mean that you're always fucking around.
Yes. That was mentioned in the BBC article too. That like Russell Brand, Russell Brand denied the allegations.
Of course.
Now during that time of promiscuity, the relationships they had were so he was being very promiscuous. That's the
Yes.
word he was using. Which is like, but he absolutely was assured that they were always consensual. So he believes that they were always consensual, but it's just like it again about the consent. It has to be like affirming and ongoing and constant, as it were.
Honestly, he sounds a lot like what's his name, Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah,
guy who's in an open relationship, but he didn't tell his wife about it.
Oh god, yeah, that was like seeing someone who was like dating two girls at once, but like the girls don't know that that person is dating the other two. Hey, listen, no, listen. I'm all friendly to polyamory, as it were, too.
Oh yeah, you have to be honest.
But not telling the people you're dating that, by the way, I'm dating other people too as well. That's on you.
Mm-hmm.
They have to consent to that too, is right, because like some people are just not to it and they not friendly to that, and we can discuss about that and sort of thing. But you do have to be like upfront about that as well too, because like I think that's the responsible thing to do. So that way they can, when they're consenting to having a relationship, it's just I don't know. At what time do you bring that up? If it's like just a couple of dates, or if it starts to get serious. I've never had a serious relationship, so I only have been on a few dates, so I'm not the person to like determine that as well, or like say you do it here. But it's like definitely when you start to be like serious, or like if one of you or the both of you say I love you, or think or want to be boyfriend and girlfriend, then you definitely have to like mention, by the way, polyamorous as well too. At some point you do have to like bring that up, and it's like,
and that's something that should come up pretty early in the relationship.
Yeah,
I'm thinking before the first time you sleep with someone.
I agree. Yeah,
before the first time you have sex with someone, then they should absolutely know whether or not you're having sex with other people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it's very important for like in case of like STDs transfers or STIs and stuff like that. If you are not using protection or are using protection, because like it's not surprising Russell Brand, he's a sexual assault abuser. He has been a huge for a while. Yeah, yep. I agree.
Brand always had that rep. He was new lad comedy. Okay, so new lad, just from the fact that Mithril's British. That sounds to me like he's one of those pieces of shit, like famous atheist who turns out to be a TERF. Part of the new atheism movement.
Christopher Hitchens?
No, comedian.
Ricky Gervais.
Yes, Gervais. That's the one. Yep. That's what sounds. That's what new lad suggests to me.
That makes sense. Around the 90s, this were
Katy Perry. I don't think she's really trash. I think she's one of those ignorant, sheltered Christian girls. I agree she's done queer baiting, and I know she said transphobic shit, but she hasn't been devoted to it in the way that, say, J.K. Rowling has. I think she's privileged and ignorant, Katy Perry, less than straight-up trash like Russell Brand. That's the impression I get. I don't really know anything about Katy Perry, except that she did that one queer baiting song, yes, where she talks about when she made out with Miley Cyrus. And I don't know about the transphobic shit, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but
she just hasn't popped up again and again and again in my feed.
Yeah,
the way that others have.
Poly without the informed consent is just cheating. I agree, Joe. It seems to me that like being polyamorous is a piece of information that's important to know early on, like shortly after like romantic tensions.
It's a couple of dates in. It's something you have to tell them.
Yeah, exactly. Gervais was never funny. The Office was the most overrated piece of crap.
The Office US was quite popular, though. So
yes,
yeah. I think that The Office UK, the impression I get is that Ricky Gervais wasn't really playing a character; he was just being himself, as the clueless boss who's always interrupting and making everything about himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I watch a lot of the like American Office, but like not all of it is worth. I know that like
That style of cringe comedy at the time, it didn't appeal to me. But I've watched Schitt's Creek a few times since then.
Mhm.
So, and Schitt's Creek, if you haven't watched it, you absolutely should. It is an absolutely beautiful, charming little show. Queer as hell, because one of the writers is one of the main characters. It's if you know Eugene Levy,
Yes,
okay, his son. He and his son were both two of
nice.
the stars of the show, and his son is one of the main writers, and his son is gay.
Mm.
And so his character is pansexual, and the community, the world they live in, is just openly accepting of all of that, and never ever has to deal with any homophobia. It's wonderful.
Nice. Eugene Levy, the guy with the very thick
The very big
eyebrows.
eyebrows. His son inherited those eyebrows.
He was also part of like Second City, that like sketch comedy group that John Candy came from.
Oh,
Too.
Eugene Levy wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I should go back to those old Second City like sketch comedy groups.
Stephen Colbert was also in Second City.
Not surprised, honestly.
It wouldn't surprise me to hear that a lot of really famous comedians have come out of there. It sounds like a really good training program if it came up with several big old geniuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, Katy Perry, the type of person who considers relationships with women to be practice for real relationships with men. Yeah, and part of that song, as I recall, is the rhyme, I guessed a girl and I liked it, I hope my boyfriend doesn't mind it. Which, I mean, is a totally clueless acknowledgement that, yeah, men can get abusive about that kind of shit.
Yeah. Just like it someone reminded that like Danny Glover, Childish Gambino, who was Lando Calrissian in the Solo movie. He has a sketch comedy group of stand-up routine about like the crazy ex girlfriends. You know how you heard a lot of like crazy ex girlfriends. A lot of guys talk about crazy ex girlfriends. How come we never hear about crazy ex boyfriends? As we're
Because they're dead.
Yes.
Or the women are dead, sorry.
Yes.
And also, those crazy ex-girlfriends, what drove them crazy, bitch?
That shows like the imbalance, honestly. Which is like, I mean, actually, Dorkins kind of like it takes it to extreme and believes that like all's consensual, like that there's no way for like women to have the consensual sex with like men because of the power imbalance of the patriarchy, as it were.
Yeah, I remember
But, yeah,
learning about that way back in the day, being just kind of weirded by it. I
but yeah,
I don't go that far, but I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand where they're coming
Yeah.
from, but
Exactly. That's my only reason to bring it up in comparison to like how come there's no stories about crazy ex-boyfriends is worse because there is that power imbalance in society as it is right now.
and also the fact
Yeah.
that we don't judge men that way. When a guy freaks out, punches a hole in the wall, batters the front door, breaks the mailbox. I'm talking about the fixes that had to be made to my current apartment. I'm assuming it was an abusive ex-boyfriend situation.
Yeah.
There was a hole in the kitchen wall that had to be patched. The doors battered all to hell, and it took them weeks to get me mailbox keys because there was something wrong with the mailbox. So I assume he broke that too. I mean, we don't hear about that. We don't talk about it. We just consider it to be normal and acceptable for guys to freak out.
Yeah, and be so possessive.
Yes, that was a Donald Glover bit, Joe. That's what he said.
Yes.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, exactly.
Childish Gambino is another name for Donald Glover. It's a persona he adopts. I think that's his music persona.
Yes, that's his music persona. This
is America.
And Summer. I forgot what the title of that song is, but the song about summer is actually really good. I should listen to more of his like musical stuff because it's actually really good, honestly. He's a triple threat. No, wait. You had to be a dancer to be a triple threat as well. Which
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he can dance. I mean, did you see his performance
exactly.
in This Is America? He was.
Yes, exactly.
That was a very carefully scripted and choreographed thing. You could tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. No problem, Joe.
No, I judge you for that, Joe.
Joe's a mediocre white guy like all of us here. So, no, how do I say all of us here? It's just Mithril, Joe. I'm non-binary. Sometimes I'm man. As we're that's.
And I'm definitely mediocre trash. No two ways about it. You can tell by the way my voice has gotten more and more southern over the years.
Yes. So talking about so yeah, I think that's like enough to cover about like the terribleness of Russell Brand. But here's some more terribleness, and again, I'm just going to link the Wikipedia because it has been like up to date with like all the current stuff that this piece of shit that's going to jail for doing so, Danny Masterson has done. I mean,
Oh, that's the guy from that '70s show, yeah?
that's the guy from that '70s show. The only one that
Isn't
did
he a
not confirm.
Scientologist as well as a rapist?
Yes, yes. Oh, I forgot the more Katy Perry problematic behavior. Is she meant just to be like trash as Russell Brand? Oh, okay. And there's a Yahoo video or something like that. Katy Perry dancer and Teenage Dream video accuse her of sexual harassment. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there you go. I like that song actually, Teenage Dream. Now that I think about it. I agree. Katy Perry is more famous than like Russell Brand because like I know
I've heard of her songs. I don't know anything about Russell Brand, except that he's a COVID pandemic conspiracy theorist piece of shit. That's all I know about him.
It's oh god, and he's like not a right winger either, or like not conservative as well.
Yeah, he's not a far right winger. He's just a right winger. He's Labor, not.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes, but like no, Danny Masterson. So yeah, there's recently has been like convicted to 30 years on like 2 out of 3 charges of felony counts of rape. And yet there's been like at least 5 women that the Wikipedia
Jesus
article mentions
Christ.
that has come forward about like the various things that he has done, and also screw all those like rape apologists that like because he's their friend as it were, is a good man. Now,
Oh, have the people from the '70s show come forward to defend him?
so for sure, Ashton Kutcher and Milas Kunis, who apparently are married, so that's strange to me because like Milas Kunis was first got hired to do that '70s show. She was 14, and Ashton Kutcher, there's at least an age difference between like those two as well, and so it's like Ashton Kutcher as an adult was able to be like, yeah, his Masterson's a serial assaulter. Yeah, several women as well too. Not surprising.
See, he was born in '78.
Mm-hmm.
She was born in '83, so they're only 5 years apart.
Okay, it's only 5 years.
But if she was 14 or 15, if
She
they
was
were
14
dating then that would be a problem.
think
But I
they're
know
dating
he
then.
was married to Demi Moore before he was
Yes,
married to Kunis. So
yes.
hopefully.
That's right, Joe McCoy. I have not seen the news reports about like the Foreman parents, which is like Kirkwood Smith. I liked him as an actor. He was the president in Star Trek 6 and other things.
Oh, you mean the actors who played the Foremans? They've also come forward
Yes.
to defend him? Okay.
Yeah, Debbie Joy Roth as well as also like wrote a letter. It's like came forward to apologize for Danny Masterson as well. But no, Ashton Kutcher and Millie Curtis wrote a letter to the judge that like Danny Masterson is a good man as it were, and it's just like just fuck you. And so Ashton Kutcher is now in trouble for that, rightfully so, honestly. Because outrage over the letter that Ashton Kutcher wrote in like the defense of like a Danny Masterson. Ashton Kutcher has to step down from the charity that like he started as were too.
Kunis didn't begin dating Kutcher until 2012.
Yeah, so it's just like
she was nearly 30. So
yeah, so at that point, yeah, I'd say it's like
so
screw. The only cast member that hasn't said anything publicly is Topher Grace. Now he hasn't said anything to say that Danny Masterson is a rotten hero or anything like that, but at least he hasn't said anything in support. I do like how like Topher Grace's wife it mentions the like rape allegations against Danny Masterson, where it's just on a TikTok. It's like to all of those rape victims who are hearing nothing about like about the rapist in the public knowledge. I hear you, something like that. Kind of acknowledging the disparities, how all this conversation is about Danny Masterson and how he's a good man, as it were, and there's a lot of conversations to have about that. And yet
that's what abusers and rapists do. They don't do that where other people can see it.
Yeah.
That's why you have to just believe victims. You should start from a position of, okay, We wouldn't have seen this. We will find evidence. We trust you. Human trafficker charity Thorn? Hoping the charity was against human trafficking, not committing it.
Yeah,
But, I mean, their characters dated on the show Contact Friends. Is that what you mean? That is, yeah. Their characters were supposed to be the same age. The actors weren't.
But she was 14 and he was 19.
He was 19.
And
if anything had happened behind the scenes, then definitely that would have been a problem.
Yes.
Her portraying a character a little bit older than herself in a relationship with someone who was supposed to be the same age, while they're also being portrayed as immature. I don't really have a problem with that. Because what they were portraying would have been an appropriate relationship. Not inappropriate, but appropriate.
Yeah, it's just... and Mila Kunis kind of like just like said the shows and producers like asked Mila Kunis like, so are you 18 yet? And she said, I'm going to be 18. Which... Truth's not a lie. But then she signed a contract and got hired, and so like, oh, by the way, I'm 14. And they still went forward with the makeout scenes though, with Kelso and like, oh, I forgot her character's name. Yeah, who cares?
I've never seen the show.
They were making out in the first season, and that's when like Mila Kunis was 14 and Ashton Kutcher was 19. But yeah.
And then on Hollywood, it's not real making out. You put your mouths together, they're open, no tongue.
Yeah, I would hope so. Topher has like never like
supposedly never in the frat boy culture. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. You as a ex frat boy can certainly tell.
That frat boy culture is real in the fraternities. Don't know about Hollywood, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah. And you know this interesting. And now this is kind of like not related. It's like well, it's sort of. I guess it'd be like tangential, related to like the subject matter in Hollywood, especially. Well, it's gone.
Oh, they took bets about making me. Ooh, okay, that's gross.
Yeah.
Stupid and gross, that's frat boy culture. That is exactly...
Yeah.
Chris Hardbrook was accused of abuse by friend Will... Wait. When Chris Hardbrook is accused of abuse, his friend Will Wheaton put out a statement saying he did not know any of that was happening and he is sorry. Yeah. Will Wheaton is as far as I can tell, is a decent guy.
I mean, like, another example that I can think of is Kevin Smith. When
I don't know who Chris Hardwick is, but...
I have to look it up.
I've heard
Kevin
the name.
Smith, someone like Kevin Smith, when he heard about...
Oh, Danny Pinkerton.
Wait,
is that Danny Pinkerton?
No,
it's not.
I don't know. I had to look up who Chris Hardwick is where... I used to advertise that like this show we talk about like pop culture, yet here I am like not knowing who Chris Hardwick is where I guess like we sort of kind of talk about pop culture and know some things about pop culture, but we don't know everything because I don't know how anyone can like know about everything. I've never seen any of these shows that Chris Hardwick was.
He was in the Batman, the cartoon show. You might have seen that.
Okay.
Legend of Korra. For one episode.
Yeah.
An episode of Family Guy. Yeah, it looks like he's a comedian who's done some film work and some voiceover work.
The second part that like Joe McGlory, if he ever recovered for him or he is heartbroken and was like blind to it and never like helped the victim. So at least like that's what
you're supposed to do. That's what you should do.
Exactly. Again, Kevin Smith, when he found out that like what Harvey Weinstein was doing, he was just like, Kevin Smith is willing to give up his career. He know that like Harvey Weinstein really helped his like career. He has a career because of Harvey Weinstein, but Kevin Smith's career is not worth it for anyone to be like raped by like Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is, For Harvey Weinstein,
Mm-hmm.
what I understand is that it was an open secret for years.
Oh,
That
yeah,
people knew about it. So it would
Definitely
have
like
been
Ben Affleck.
difficult for Kevin Smith to remain ignorant of that after working with him for years. So
Yeah. I mean, so many people know of in the comedian world is where they knew about like Bill Cosby and what he was doing as it were. So like, so if they were even thinking like Patton Oswalt, he even said in an interview, well, if there's only like a dozen women that came forward about like Bill Cosby, then there must have been hundreds of women that haven't come forward yet.
And yeah, there was, I believe, in the end, nearly 100 had come forward.
Yeah.
And I think Louis C.K. had the same sort of reputation.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with whisper networks, is that they're somewhat effective at sometimes protecting some people, but they don't actually get the job done. They're necessary because white men have power and no one else does. But
Yeah.
or if you're a huge star like Bill Cosby, then a black man can have that much power.
Yeah. So apparently Chris Hardwick was the host of the Nerdist podcast and a few reality shows.
Yeah, he also did the Talking Dead, which was, I think, a podcast or TV show that talked about The Walking Dead. I think it was officially related with the show itself.
But yeah, the connection to like this topic is like so apparently Chris Hardwick has like abused several people, and Will Wheaton was not known about it, and like disgusted that like that happened to someone that like he worked with as well too. So yeah, but that so Will Wheaton's reactions to like hearing about like what Chris Hardwick did should be the appropriate ones, and yet Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, Deborah Jo Ruff, and Cooper Smith saying Danny Masterson's a good man. Again, 5 women. And he's convicted on 2 counts. And here's it's a Scientology thing. Apparently using in drugs as well too, which is yeah, it's just so far it's like the only like cast members. I am way too.
Oh shit! I just clicked on Ozma's link.
Comfort Games come out in support of giving Tony Masterson an electric chair.
Oh shit!
I kind of want to research more about like Topher Grace because, like, remember, for some reason that 70s show continued without Topher Grace and Ashton Kutcher on that show. So Topher Grace just left the show.
Well, he got big with Spider-Man around that time, so he probably just decided it's better for me to be a giant action movie star who's beloved by everyone than this small TV star is beloved by someone.
Yeah. Honestly,
although I don't know that he's acted much since Spider-Man.
The last thing I saw him in was the Stan Lee movie. Not Stan Lee. Spike Lee. Differently. Black Klansman.
He's been in a lot of stuff. I don't think he's had the star power that they would have wanted. But he's been in stuff very consistently, like year after year. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, 2014 was a big year for him.
Yeah.
4 movies. And he's done TV shows. I know he was in, where is it? Love, Death, and Robots. There it is.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so...
and he's back for that 90s show? Ugh.
The Topher is an old Hollywood quid. Yeah, I think he is. That's what I was going to mention. Joe McClure. Topher Grace played David Duke in the Black Klansman movie by Spike Lee. Stunt casting there, and honestly, he did a good job. Honestly, it was Topher Grace as David Duke, which is like definitely like a juxtaposition for me. But like,
he only was in the 1 episode of that 90s show.
Yeah. Okay, that's
right. It has Deborah Jo Rupp and Kurtwood Smith coming back as the grandparents. But apparently Topher did not. Or maybe he did? I don't know.
I haven't seen that 90s show.
Nope, Topher he's not listed as one of the stars of the show. So it talks about their grandkids, but the dad isn't there. So he just didn't come back. That's good for him.
Yes, exactly. Especially with like, I don't think Danny Masterson was on.
Okay, context wrench. You don't know anything about Topher Grace's penis. You don't need to talk about his big thing.
Oh, shit. And also, the radio show Love Front, you can have your issues with Dr. Drew. They have taken more calls about like people complaining about it being too big than it being too small.
Honestly, all you need is your tongue.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, no, yeah, that's for the people who Volvos is the word like, or people who like need that sort of thing. No. The common linguist is very important. Very important. It's just like just yeah. Just again.
Look, everyone, just be like cervical cancer. Get out there and devour that cunt.
Whoever's joining this like live stream right now, and being like, what did I just walk into?
I will never ever say the right thing, not willingly.
This is why we're never going to be monetized on YouTube. So thank you to. So speaking of sense, we're not going to be monetized ever, but thank you to all of our patrons. As it were, bad timing to bring up with all of our patrons after like that kind of comment from like John Brockman, except for the Fuck Boys, because the Fuck Boys are some of our patrons. But Joe, Marty, Von Rack, Evie, Mithro, Staff Noise, the Sexual Scholar or the Kama Sutra Scholar, and Tim. Thank you so much. I did mention Flora, or if not Flora. Don't hate on my dark. Don't hate on me after dark. The Grace also came out in support of giving former co-stars like Mila Kunis and Ashley Kunis the chair for letters requesting lenient sentences from Matheson and their subsequent apology videos. Yeah, that's right. The Mila Kunis and Ashley Kutcher, after the outrage, after they realized they messed up, they kind of made an apology video. I haven't watched it. I didn't have time to watch it, but it's just like, okay, you realize that you was like, all you need is tongue, all you need is tongue, all you need is tongue's all you need. Yeah, it is interesting. Kind of speaking of Hollywood and like the problems of it. On Friday, Jason Harding and Steve Shives has dropped the latest episode of Late Scenes. To which my surprise, holy shit, they did Perfect Blue. Those who don't know, it's an animated movie from '98.
Oh, I was thinking of Surf movie.
It's directed by Satoshi Kon, his first directorial debut. And how it's related to like Hollywood. It's about like a pop singer that decides to become an actress, as it were, and but then it has like one stalker that didn't like that.
She becomes victim of a stalking by an obsessive fan. Gruesome murders take place, and she begins losing her grip on reality.
Oh yes, the psychological.
Yeah, that sounds an awful lot like Jodie Foster's story, except Jodie Foster never lost grip on reality.
They bring it up in the podcast too, because like this is not too much of a spoiler run because it happened in the first 30 minutes of the movie. So for the Mina to break in as acting, as it were, she just gets one minor role as the sister of the victim in a cop show, as it were. But then she's just like, how about like we just to give her more roles or something like that, her manager or something like that, that tells her that, I don't know, is she serious about acting this word? That's the conversation. Then the editors decide, okay, how about this? We'll give her a bigger role where she plays a rape victim where the rape scene is filmed. And that's shown in the movie too. Is a film rape scene, but still a rape scene. Very uncomfortable. But even the manager or whoever said like, "Oh come on, this was a big break for like Foster, whoever her name is. It made her career, something like that." So they did mention Jodie Foster sort of thing in that movie. And Jason Hardin said on the podcast as the words like, "I can believe a Hollywood person saying, oh come on, it will expand your career to play a rape victim." That's the word too. But no, it's just like it's.
And there's so many times in Hollywood where not only are actresses pressured into filming scenes they don't want to, but the scenes go over the top. Yeah, like there was one thing Robert De Niro did, where he famously lubed up his partner with butter, which was not agreed on with her beforehand. The director suggested it. De Niro did it. She didn't know about it, and she described it as humiliating and traumatizing.
Yes, and which is and some of the actors actually kind of like come forward. Stanley Kubrick yeah, it was standing crew, but Dick to like his performance, like Shelley Duvall that was like traumatized in the filming of The Shining, as were.
I don't think
Uh,
she's ever come out and said it that way herself.
mm,
But thanks to behind the scenes filming for a documentary sort of thing or whatever, you can see her showing her hair falling out. And she
yeah.
had such a nervous breakdown afterward that she was bedridden for months.
Mm.
Um,
I think the actor who was one of the main characters in like Hereditary. I love that movie, and like the performances was like quite something. But if that actor was like traumatized during the filming of that movie, something like that, even though I loved Hereditary because it was such a creepy film as it were, I don't think that like I don't want the performers to be like traumatized unless if the actors performers give up their body to like do stunts and to do those sort of things for like the show and the promise, that'd be one thing for them to consent to it, but it's another if they become traumatized in the process and things are happening that they didn't agree to. I don't care if like, oh my god, it's so realistic of like their emotions or like the characters going through on screen, but I don't want the actors to be like traumatized for the art and that sort of thing too. I really had hard times with like essay like scenes in films, and that's I can't look at that scene. No, yeah, Joe Jumpy, understandable as were too. So that's I highly recommend Perfect Blue, but I have to mention like there is a rape scene in there, and it's uncomfortable for me as it should be, because that's also ties into the main character's Mina's break with reality as well, and as it happens in the movie. It's still a fantastic movie, but like I can totally understand why people can't watch a movie for that. I mean, it's gory too because it's a slasher, and some people can't handle gore. And
oh,
yeah,
the actor. It was the person who described it as traumatizing was Alex Wolff. I was expecting it to be one of the women.
mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
very hard because as an actor you don't really want to sound pretentious or self-serious. It really affected me. I have a cushy job in a lot of ways, but emotionally it was one of those tough ones. It was one of the ones that really did some gymnastics on my emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm. And then
Um,
there's also the pressure from Hollywood of like if you're an actor that's unwilling to do something things, then you don't want to be like labeled as difficult to work with, which, as we know from like Joss Whedon and other examples, yeah, you it's like you fortunately have to agree to some things so that you're not marred as being difficult to work with in order to keep
mhm.
getting work. And so again, that's a Hollywood system, and which is why he's like Jason Hardy and Steve Shives in the late scene episode of like Perfect Blue kind of like mentioned like that's why it had to be like made in Japan for like modest budget of like about 800,000 and like the $98 as were and animated by Satoshi Kon because like Hollywood never make a movie where it points out Hollywood as it were for being terrible people as were. Even like with Sunset Boulevard, they kind of framed it as like it was a individual person of like she just like still thinks that she's a big screen star. I am still big. It's a picture that got small, and so individualize it. They never Hollywood would never green like a kind of like movie like Perfect Blue where it's even though it's like the plot is like it's a slasher flick or a psychological thriller of like a stalker attacking a pop idol, a former pop idol to an actress and that sort of thing. But yet the themes that movie discussed, as Jason Harden and Steve Shives laid out, was about like and how even though it's talked about Japan as it were, but you can see similarities with like any entertainment industry as were of how the entertainment industries treats their like performances as were. Think back to like the cut philosophies old video on like K-pop and like how they treat their performances
Oh
were.
yeah,
Even with
and
like
that
terms of
reflects the studio system. Now, like, just think of
Mhm.
Judy Garland.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
forcing drugs on her from a very young age. She was like as young as
hmm
Judy Garland, or not Judy. She was as young as Mila Kunis when she started.
hmm
And then you see
Yeah.
her later in life. She's been absolutely destroyed by addiction, and
hmm
that singing voice is just gone. She was
hmm
ruined by it.
And yeah, like I hate that it's the Handmaid's Tale's first season is mostly essay scenes and the other seasons toned it down. But the first season is a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, the first season of Handmaid's Tale is a lot. I think I did watch all of the first season of Handmaid's Tale, but it was like
I
I don't
was
know.
not able to get into Game of Thrones because of that. I mean, the
Yeah.
books, I mean, it's a realistic depiction of a medieval society that falls into war. but
Mm-hmm.
the show just turns everything into rape. It's Game of Rapes, the Rapening.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
probably
couldn't watch
why
it.
that's why I never decide to go into that kind of show. And from my perspective, I mean, yeah, I do dig fantasy, but it's just I guess also it's just completely grimdark too, which is
Mhm.
I don't know. I can be in the mood for a grimdark if I want to, but it's just I'm not at that
There's
point where
notes of hope and friendship in the books. I don't know about the show. It's not
yeah.
totally grimdark. It is very dark, don't get me wrong, but there's friendship, there's brotherhood, there's family. There's notes of hope moving toward the future, but
Yeah.
in Handmaid's Tale, I can understand because that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I mean, her name is changed to of Fred because she's the possession of Fred. I mean,
Yeah.
so. Oh, it has a Scientology tie-in. Is how? Oh, wait, Elizabeth Moss. She's a Scientologist, isn't she?
Is she? Again, there's other things about the Scientology. Danny Master's the Scientologist. At least Laura Prefon has left the Scientology church, but that was kind of after the allegations, as was mentioned.
And Leia Remini, who has come forward and she did a documentary about it. Leia Remini did. She was she played the wife in Everybody Loves Raymond, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Elizabeth Moss is second generation. Yeah. Yeah. Church of Scientology.
She was raised a Scientologist. Elizabeth Moss was.
Yeah. I mean, if you're raised by that, it's
It's still an abuse of religion.
I agree.
But it's. I don't want to blame anyone for getting sucked into a cult. I want to blame the leadership of the cult, definitely.
Yeah. So basically, I hope that and many ex-Scientologists say there are parallels.
Parallels between Scientology and the story?
And The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay,
Yeah,
probably,
yeah. I can believe that, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised to learn that there's rampant sexual abuse in Scientology. Absolutely not. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they sign people to billion-year contracts, and they kidnap them and threaten to kill them. King of Queens, not Raymond. That's the one. I knew it was one of those early 2000s inexplicably beautiful woman married to a schlubby dude.
Kevin James was the slubby dude.
Heffernan.
Comedian.
No, yeah. James Heffernan is the guy from Broken Lizard. Too many schlubby comedians. What can I say?
Yeah, too many schlubby comedians. Kevin James, who was also Paul Blart, male mall cop. Too.
Yep. He was also in that movie with Will Smith, Hitch.
Oh yeah, Hitch. That's right.
In which he's actually, honestly, I thought he was adorable in that movie.
No, I can actually see that. Kevin James, not Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, the director of Clerks and Clerks 2. He apparently did make Clerks 3.
Oh, Sea Org is all about forced sex and abortions. Again, not surprised. Not even a little bit.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of surprised about the abortions. Because, I mean, how else are you going to build your army of alien-free people? I mean, there's only so much room on the boat, but...
Weirdly
shit.
enough...
Okay, your voice is back. You were muted for a second there. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. Then maybe...
It might have been my internet connection.
Probably it's hiccup. The stream's going strong. I guess weirdly enough, I was actually watching as a streamer, as it were, talking about the Mormon Church, as it were.
They own more land than the state of Delaware.
Yes, they did mention that, and that's the problem. And definitely land back for anyone who has lands and give land back to the indigenous people, like Black Hills back to Lakota.
Honestly, should churches be allowed to own land? I mean, they don't pay taxes on it.
Land for, well, first of all, no one should own land. Yeah, churches owning land because you're right. They get taxes in, as Contact Wrench said. Also, churches get exempt from the ADA too, which the ADA doesn't have.
What the fuck is up with that bullshit?
I don't know. And because because of the tax exemption with the churches, there are many people that claim themselves to be a church that's actually a business organization where they demand ask for like weekly like donations from like people as it were, and you get like some pieces of cloth and then some oil and then
And maybe a cracker and a little bit of rape.
Yeah, but no, I'm thinking of those televangelists who just like then have these mega churches and then like will buy private jets twice for cash. King
of Queens was an Everybody Loves Raymond spinoff. Didn't know that. There are other fantasy things that aren't medieval societies.
Sure.
Pedophile Piers Anthony has some modern fantasy stories. Let's see. There's also the Anita Blake series where she does a lot of fucking of werewolves and vampires, even though she's supposed to be hunting werewolves and vampires. You also have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, made by problematic Joss Whedon. There's modern fantasy stuff out there.
I need to read Tales of Earthseas because maybe that's like a fantasy book that like is not problematic at all.
Ursula K. Le Guin is fucking awesome, and keep in mind, even though the TV show made them white, the main characters in those books are all brown as fuck.
Okay, that's important. Yeah. I'm not surprised in Hollywood whitewashing stories again.
Oh
too,
yeah,
as well. Okay, they did that to like the Last Airbender as well. Yeah, you're right. Like we don't need.
Speaking of Last Airbender, fantasy setting, but not medieval. It's early modern.
Yeah.
So I mean, and as I hear that and the spinoff Korra are both excellent shows.
Yes,
that
I do.
That don't actually make the main character gay in Legend of Korra, but they strongly hint for a little bit of queer baiting.
Yeah. I think that honestly, I bet like we can learn later. It's like no, we wanted to go forward with that too.
As I understand, they really wanted to, but the network wouldn't let them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just like I agree also about that Korra itself is more steampunk, and as were. But then it's like, do you count steampunk as like fantasy and that sort of thing? But it's like I do agree that steampunk is like its own aesthetic, as were. And
Girl Genius.
Oh man. I
would think of some steampunk as being fantasy, just because of how far the technology can go. It gets kind of ridiculous. In Girl Genius, the spark is basically magic. You're a wizard.
Yeah, exactly. As my coworker is actually friends with the authors of Girl Genius, so like, I have a connection there as well. I met some of them at the conventions here in Seattle at the Emerald City Comic Con, and like they're just cool people. And yeah, Girl Genius, and it's a webcomic, and they've been going on for decades. It was like
at least 15 years, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think it's like 2007, maybe.
Yes. If you want to buy the books, they have a bunch of books, and like
I have not. I've got comic collections. I don't have any of the novelizations. It's an amazing series. Strong female protagonist. Although the artist Phil Folio, he has a type, and that type is the woman he's married to. So the women tend to be tall with hourglass figures.
Yeah.
Buxom with big hips.
I seen his like wife had like Emerald City Comic Con got a chance to talk to her. No, yeah, exactly. No, it's like.
And he used to do porn, or used to draw porn. He's dialed it back since his kids are now old enough to read. That's why he's doing Girl Genius.
Okay.
Once his kids are old enough to buy porn, I think he'll. I think is what he was thinking.
Yeah. My next D&D campaign is going to be like a steampunk thing. That's
I like steampunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Steampunk is an aesthetic I can get behind. I didn't really like Wild Wild West, starring Will Smith, Kevin Kline.
Okay,
it was a campy, silly movie. I just thought it was too silly.
Wait, John Peters is an interesting character.
Is he the bad guy in that one?
He's the producer.
Oh, okay. You said interesting character, so I didn't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. No. Kevin Smith has a whole story about John Peters because, like, after Mallrats, because like Warner Brothers kind of like, oh, this Kevin Smith guy, he wrote that movie Mallrats that no one saw because no one saw it. He knows comic books because he talks about like Kryptonite Condom in that movie as well, and how Superman can't.
Well, he did know comic books. He sold a massive collection in order to be able to fund Clerks. So yes, he did know comic books.
Yes. But then it was just a strange story. So like so Kevin Smith actually, so it's a long story.
Oh, is he the one who did Superman Returns?
He wrote some drafts for Superman Returns, but no, John Peters was producer for Superman Returns, and that's how Kevin Smith met John Peters as well. He used to be a hairdresser for Barbra Streisand, and that's how he got his big hit as a producer, because he like was a producer for like The Greatest Show or something like that Barbra Streisand movie, and then he like produced Batman. So it's like,
ooh. Peters says that he was banned from Man of Steel by producer Christopher Nolan because my reputation scares these guys. What is his reputation? Oh, sexual harassment.
Okay, so there's that. That's not where
Los Angeles jurors ordered Peters to pay a former assistant $3.3 million after finding she was subjected to sexual harassment and a hostile work environment during production of Superman Returns.
Oh my God, look at that.
If they were willing to find that there was enough evidence, that means that this guy probably isn't careful.
Yes.
But that was just harassment and a hostile work environment. Yeah. Sounds like this guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, not surprised. So, just the funny thing about John Peters is that like he wanted for Kevin Smith in Superman Returns to like three things. Superman never flies around.
What?
For some reason. Yeah, he doesn't understand Superman, basically. No capes, I think. I don't know, or maybe that's just like Mo from like Incredibles. But also the third act, there must be a giant spider.
Well, fortunately, he never got any of those things. I mean, a giant spider. Superman finding a giant alien spider could have been okay. I mean, Superman against a kaiju would have been awesome. Let's be honest.
That's what. So when he was Kevin Smith, after meeting John Peters, the producer, went back to like the Warner Brothers studio and says, "He seems to like you. You're going to be hired on." Did he mention the giant spider? Yes, he did mention the giant spider. They mention giant spider for you every fucking day with giant spider. It's driving us nuts. Just right into the
Superman versus an alien metal kaiju. It's like a giant metal alien spider, like sort of like Starro.
Gary's therapist. There goes right to the works. No,
like if it's a Cronenberg vagina monster, then Superman fighting that would have been an interesting switch. I mean, it wouldn't have been.
David Scott.
Hey, David.
Your brutal prison. Yes, that's what I important.
Yes, it's so horrible to stay in your parents' beautiful home and take care of their amazing dog. I feel for you. You have my sympathies.
Hey,
Godzilla and Mothra versus Superman.
Yeah, I love that movie. Honestly, Superman's so overpowered as it were, so you get like a recent have like some compelling conflict whenever a Superman like storyline. So because like well you can have now Superman in the like Fleischer cartoons did fight like a giant dinosaur as well. That was actually quite interesting. But that was in the like that time when he just like had leaps great balance. It doesn't fly yet as well too. I gotta rewatch those Fletcher cartoons as well because they're quite something, I think.
Let's see. What's his name? Mormon guy. Good universe version of the homophobic guy who writes fantasy novels. They're really, really big. Way of the King novels. What's his name?
I'm not familiar with Way of the King.
Brandon Sanderson.
Never heard of that guy.
Yes, you have. We've talked about him before. Like I said, he's the good universe version of Orson Scott Card, but his Way of the King series is basically, what if the Jews were the good guys in the Palestine conflict? Because you have people who come in and colonize after they destroy their homeland, and then they just turn into assholes and conquer and displace the natives. Yes, context reference, Brandon Sanderson. So he wrote another series.
Hope you're doing well.
Hey, he wrote another series where there's a different kind of magic, where it's basically, it starts out as an early industrial, semi-industrial setting. And then in the sequel series, it's set up to be very steampunk. It's very 19th century feel with magic. Mothra has magic powers. I didn't know that.
That's surprised, honestly.
I mean, Godzilla also has magic powers. He's an iguana
Yeah.
that can breathe nuclear fire.
Oh yeah.
He's a dragon, let's be honest.
No, I agree. Also, Mothra versus Superman might be interesting. Yeah, they just have.
I mean, it depends on how powerful Mothra is. If he's just a giant moth, he would need to be super tough to be able to go up against Superman. Otherwise, Superman would just plow through him like a bullet. Because I think Superman might be willing to kill a giant alien monster in a way he's not willing to kill an intelligent alien person.
Yeah. But like, sometimes like there are times like depends on what the Brainiac does. I wish like Superman would kill Brainiac. Honestly, with Brainiac, get it done.
Yeah.
Yes, Magic is a card game, David.
Magic the Gathering is a card game. Gaw.
Mothra's a goddess. Yes, I can agree with that.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would be willing to accept that Mothra is literally a goddess within the stories. Because, I mean, it's Japan. I don't know the fuck about the culture of Japan. I know that the Koopa Troopas aren't actually turtles. They're supposed to be a sort of dragon turtle monster kind of thing.
The Kappa is a water imp. Yes.
That's the one.
Marx Brooks did like too in World War Z. The first thing Israel did in the zombie apocalypse let Palestine into the wall.
Yeah, I don't think they'd do that. I think they would double down on the wall and they'd start shooting more children.
Yeah, honestly. And then Beth Sanders like an interview is where it's a video, so I'll like watch that later as well too. Since like right now I'm not doing the show.
I know some guy did a review of Brandon Sanderson recently and got a lot of flack for it because he said that when he did an interview with Brandon Sanderson, he said he was a bad writer. Is that the one? Context French. He just says maybe they don't like your stuff because you're just not very good. And I agree. Brandon Sanderson is really good at world building. But his stories are pretty straightforward. They don't really have many surprises. He doesn't do a whole lot of amazing stuff. His door stoppers for Way of the Kings, one of the characters has PTSD. That's an interesting thing to explore that has been explored a lot for white men. I mean, it's he doesn't really surprise you, and the stories are fairly basic.
Yeah.
Oh, you blew your back out so bad you had to go to the hospital.
Sorry to hear that, Lucy. Starfield at times, so I blame Professor for making a game so broken it destroying my back.
Oh man. Yeah, so I'm guessing you're on muscle relaxers now, Ilsifia? Godzilla's a mutant. Mothra is a reborn perpetually.
So it's a Mothra sort of eternal in the Kaiju universe. That's interesting. Yeah,
Mothra is reborn perpetually, so Superman could kill Mothra, but without him getting able to get away. So that would give Superman the difficulty where he would have to find a way to imprison Mothra and maybe put her in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. Godzilla is a mutant effectively. Mothra's reborn perpetually, so I don't think Superman could kill Mothra, but like can win in extreme ways, and like Mothra won't go away. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I hope you join like Starfield, like Lucidio, or I just call it as like Bethesda, Space Bethesda as work, because like that's kind of like just what I know about like Starfield and its work. I'm sure that people are enjoying it and loving it. I know one person is a cook and like their playthrough of it. That's part of what I like about like John Stanley. He admits that he's a hack, but like his stuff is like so readable, even though it's like a basic. Yeah, that's a thing.
Scalzi, John Scalzi.
Yeah, John Scalzi.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who they're not amazing writers, but they do good work, and like pedophile Piers Anthony. Okay. I have to be careful about calling Piers Anthony a pedophile. He has said that adult-child sexual relationships aren't bad, and he has depicted them numerous times positively in his books, including one time a heavy scare quotes consensual relationship between an adult man and a 5-year-old. I don't know that Piers Anthony ever has acted on his beliefs that pedophilia is acceptable, but he has declared himself a supporter of pedophile, and he has depicted it positively in his books, which is why I threw away very nearly all of my Piers Anthony books. Like I threw away my Orson Scott Card books because he's a bigoted piece of shit.
Yep.
And like I threw away the Ayn Rand fantasy guy. Terry Goodkind.
No. Oh, okay. That's not the one I was thinking of.
Terry Goodkind. Yep, that's the one. He's not a pedophile or a rapist of any kind, as far as I can tell. But he's and he's a Randite. He's a Randian piece of shit. And his books descended into, and like Ayn Rand, he depicts rape positive. Yes, 5 context French. That was in, I think, his porn novel, Firefly. Piers Anthony started out as a somewhat innovative fantasy author. His works were typical for the 70s, kind of grim, gritty, Conan the Barbarian types. And he experimented with the sword and sorcery thing, where in his setting, everyone has magic. Sometimes it's a little powerful, sometimes not. And everybody can just do one thing. But hey, Terry Goodkind is a misnumber. Well said, Joe. But he quickly just started turning all of his works into cash cows, and he loves depicting rape as a positive, and as he got more popular, pedophilia as a positive. No, sorry, he started with ephebophilia, then hebophilia. I think I'm saying these right, and then pedophilia.
I don't know about hebophilia or like the other two you
those are terms that are depicting attraction to underage women who are post-pubescent and underage women who are merely pubescent versus prepubescent. So older teens, younger teens, and children.
Yep.
And there are a lot of dudes on the internet who will vigorously defend the separation between those various forms of illegal and unconscionable behavior.
Yeah, it's just like I've heard of pederasty is where it's just like it's a underage, like older teenagers, but it's just like no, it's not. No, they can't consent. It's just like
they are just not developed enough to be able to do that. I think pederast might be just a different. I mean, because ped obviously is sexual activity involving a man and a boy or youth. It's specifically a male homosexual relationship, and it's popular in reference to ancient Greece, where it was. Where that was just the expected thing.
It's like, yeah, people are terrible at context, but yeah, this is like there are too many people who care too much about like the technical.
Okay, way to call all autistic people pedophiles. Wow. Oh yeah, no, I ran with sci-fi. Same umbrella. They're both speculative fiction, but I love the fact that what's it called? Her big book, not the Fountainhead.
Shrugged?
Atlas Shrugged. In order to create her ideal society, she had to invent like 3 different impossible sci-fi inventions. And it meant that rich people don't actually contribute anything, and the only way to keep people from functioning without them was for them to destroy everything on their way out. Let's see, there was the impossible, stupid static electricity permanent energy generator. There was the magic metal, Rearton metal, and there was the hologram that hid Galt's Gulch. 3 different impossible inventions. And they literally had to light everything on fire on their way out the door in order to keep the poor people from functioning without them. But yeah, libertarianism is a fantasy. A stupid, racist fantasy. Misogynist fantasy.
Yeah, American
colonialist fantasy.
Yeah, Mary Rothbard's libertarianism. Yeah, so
as opposed to what libertarian was originally, which was it was anarchism, and they stole
it. Yes, they saw it. Murray Rothbard lamented that liberals just became like slightly the left of center, like a progressive people as were, because the sock Dems just like didn't want to be called like so social democrats
Liberals are
anymore.
slightly right of center at the
Yeah.
best.
I'm immune to pudal haircuts as were.
Gamora and Aquaman in the same universe. Well, we got to be careful about Atlantis because Nazis.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Are you obviously okay? That's the wrong Gamora because that Gamora, unless you're talking about the woman from the Marvel movies, you might be talking.
Galaxy Gamora.
Yeah. Nope, that guy is the boss of a crime syndicate. I'm just going to type in Gamora Kaiju. There we go. Okay, that guy's he's an alt
You mean
Godzilla.
Gamera?
Gamora. The turtle.
Yeah,
See.
the turtle kaiju. Gamera. Yeah, that's what you meant. I actually got like a whole movie collection of the Gamera stuff as well.
Okay, yeah, giant turtle. Yep, he's going to be a Kappa too.
Oh yes, yeah. And again, like a Kappa is like a water imp as well too. And they're called imps in like the Final Fantasy games as well for some reason. At least in Final Fantasy 6 or /3, it was like called imp because like they didn't know what Kappa is as well too. But like yeah, water imp as well.
In the franchise's Heisei era, which began in 95, Gamera's in-universe origins were changed. In the Heisei films, Gamera is portrayed as an ancient, bioengineered creature from Atlantis, created for the purpose of defending the people of Atlantis from Giaios, a bat-like creature which breathes a destructive supersonic beam. I love how stupid shit can get sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Like Joe McClure, the idea that capitalism would not fall apart if not enforced with vigilance is a fantasy. Yeah,
Or violence, I think might have been what he was trying to say.
violence. Yeah,
Yeah, it has to be supported with violence. Of course, I mean, all these hierarchical systems are supported by violence because that's where they come from. That's where they start.
I mean, like you can argue that they're violence in themselves as well. Definitely. Well, the introduction of private property is a concept, and like that's kind of violence as well, because like the Enclosure Act was just violence onto like the peasants and the commons.
Yep. I mean, at the very least, once upon a time, nobody owned anything. Now people do own things. Obviously, that means that we stole individuals. Someone stole that shit from everyone else. Oh, Jesus Christ, David.
Stole the land from the indigenous people, stole the land from the commons, stole the land from a lot of different places, and then stole people too. And considered property as well. Yep, enslaved them. That's word. Yeah,
Stole natural resources, stole the land, stole the resources, stole the people.
Yep. Well, no, so in about the last like 13 minutes or so of like the stream, Isaiah has not joined us. I was kind of hoping that like he would, but maybe we can bring up again next week if as one of the topics we can discuss. Because like Isaiah was reminded that like on Monday, last week Monday, was September 11th as it were, and like how the second September 11th, September 11, 2001, how the country is kind of like, it seemed like the country was more united, but I think Isaiah Taylor thinks that like we became more divided after that too, and it all depends on like who you ask. For white people, probably there was a lot more unity, in the country.
We were united in our hatred of Muslims, but that also really helped the polarization of the country. But I mean, the fact is, that coincided with the Republican Party changing how it did its platforms, its party platforms during presidential elections. Because starting in 1980, Ronald Reagan used the word liberal to replace lover as a slur for white people who think black people are human beings. And they just started just slamming on liberals, negative, over and over again. And they continued that in 84, 88, 92, 96. 2000 was the last time they used that because they no longer needed to. The party had finally, I mean, it was done in 94 with Newt Gingrich.
Yeah.
But the Republican Party was the party of white supremacy at that point. So I think 9/11 was kind of a coincidence when it comes to the polarization, because the Republican Party was able to just take the brakes off and go full steam ahead, capitalist white supremacist bullshit.
Yeah.
What, Christian nationalist on top of that. Got to be clear about that.
Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like, yeah, I guess for like some people, like I said, Taylor became more noticeable like after 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did sort of, like, we came together in our hatred of Muslims. That's what, I think that was what really spurred the new atheist movement, was you finally got all of these atheists coming together saying, hey, look, see, religion, evil. And then we fell apart because some of us are actually decent people and some of us are Richard Dawkins.
Yep.
And it just didn't work. Some of us are right-wing assholes. Some of us are decent people. Apparently, The Amazing Atheist has gotten a little bit better since those days.
Apparently. I don't know. I haven't watched this stuff.
I know Dusty Smith definitely took a step back. But I mean, just that's another feature of capitalism, is that feeding into rage, that self-righteousness.
Yeah.
It feeds into that, and you get the clicks, you get the money, and it just encourages you to be a Republican piece of shit. So I do think we've become more polarized, because it eventually pushes you to be so extreme that you lose the decent people, and they go off and do a different thing, and you just get this splintering of extreme bullshit and hatred in various kinds of ways, like Russell Brand turning into a conspiracy theorist and anti-vaxxer, J.K. Rowling turning into a TERF. Again, I don't want to stress that it's entirely capitalism. Capitalism is a human construction. It came from somewhere. We just need to change so that we don't encourage that worst part of ourselves.
Also eugenics, yeah.
Also eugenics, absolutely. I don't know exactly what you're referring to there, but also eugenics. The capitalist, white supremacist, Christian nationalist, eugenicist system. I think eugenics is baked into the white supremacist part.
Yeah.
Well, you could describe. I do, when I think about the Republican Party, describe the different branches of white supremacy as the Klan versus the neo-Nazis, where the Klan is the religious white supremacist Christian conservative movement, and the neo-Nazis are the eugenicist bullshit outside the South. I mean, the eugenicist stuff was still in the South, but you go to California, that white supremacy was all eugenics. Dusty Smith, he is one of the few YouTubers that came a long way to be a better person. Yes, he definitely did. Now he runs a dog shelter somewhere in Tennessee, Kentucky, I don't know. And he has apologized. Okay, Mississippi. So I know he's somewhere in the South. TJ has definitely improved. He made a long video apologizing for most of the stuff on his anti-justice. Okay, that's good.
Okay. Now I'll look into it.
I mean, I'm willing to accept and acknowledge personal growth. Even if Elon Musk turned out to one day not be a complete piece of shit, I would acknowledge that. But right now, he is a complete piece of shit.
Yeah, racism requires fitness of body. Yeah.
And that's why they'll always, hunt the Jews. You cannot ever outgrow Jewishness. For them, it's a sickness in the blood.
Yeah.
And Nazi Germany actually not just imported our laws, but actually imported some of our experts in order to help them craft their Jew hunting laws so that they could better hunt through historical records to match California in being able to use marriage counseling, heavy scare quotes, to find out if you had unacceptable ancestors.
I mean, both KKK and neo-Nazis are really just white supremacists. The neo-Nazis just hate Jewish people more than the KKK hate black people more.
Yeah. I use it to describe a cultural difference. The difference between American History X and the Klan. Because neo-Nazi, I mean, there's definitely, you're absolutely right, religious. I'm just talking about the religion of the Nazi stuff, where they focus on this sort of mystical racist supremacy. Whereas for the Klan, they are definitely, absolutely 100% racist Christians. And they use the Old Testament to justify their blood and soil.
Yeah. Like, well, you might say, yeah, exactly. I can
Yeah, blood
understand
libel.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I can like also like they say it will take a long time for some people to trust TJ Kirk
Yeah,
communist
I don't
more.
think I'll ever watch his channel. Just
Hmm.
he spent years being a piece of shit, and I mean, I might be willing to forgive him, but I'm not going to forget the shit he's done.
Yeah, I mean, it's for someone
And
like
I
Steve
could
Shives.
understand. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, exactly. But like, and for some people like Steve Shives, who like TJ Kirk directly targeted as
Oh
it were
yeah,
too. Steve Shives is just like no, as it were.
there's just too much
Also,
personal injury there. Absolutely. And I could
he
understand if people wouldn't be willing to forgive him at all, even if he didn't directly attack them individually, just as a group. You know, queer folk, women, brown people.
he TJ Kirk
Oh,
harassed like a SA survivor one time.
I don't
Yeah,
remember that, but it does not surprise me.
doesn't surprise me as well. Um,
He also went after Anita
yeah.
Sarkeesian pretty hard, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, she did. He did a lot. Yeah, you never have to like. No one is owed to forgiveness, even if they have like worked hard for it. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
uh,
It's up to them to be a better person. It's not up to you to forgive them.
exactly. Um, what else I was about to say? First, just gonna Ramsey had like a TikTok before about that. Like, oh yeah, that's like. I mean, Steve Shives is word that like people of that are friends of his are friends with Vadim Newquist as were, and they like Vadim Newquist as were,
Is
and
Vadim one
Vadim
of the
New
ones who tried to make a documentary about Anita Sarkeesian? There was a dude named
no,
Jordan and someone else. Uh,
no, that was David Serini.
oh,
David
yes,
Serini,
yes.
who is a white supremacist on paper. He said so himself. He's just a flat out white supremacist because
Yeah.
like he would just like say
If you look at all
N
the
word.
things I say and do, then yeah, I sound and look an awful lot like a white supremacist. But I don't call myself that.
No, but
Was he one of the guys who had a skull in the background?
yes, he was the one that always had a skull that was named McCarthy or
Oh,
something like
and
that.
he smoked a cigar and always drank a whiskey.
Yes.
Yeah,
And drink the
okay.
whiskey, but always like just like a tiny slips every single time. He said like save one shot of whiskey. That's like throughout the entire video. Yeah, but like
Me too,
no,
Mithril. Like I said, I was in a fraternity, and
yeah,
you try, and you can never expect forgiveness.
yeah.
You shouldn't even hope for it.
But no, as I was saying about like Steve Shives, it's like no, Vadim Newquist is creationist cat.
Right.
Um, so there's and now and Steve Shives personally is not forgiven for Vadim Newquist because Vadim Newquist just joined into just making parody videos about blocked by Steve Shives, and it was like 4 years
Hmm.
ago, 5 years ago, something like that. But so it's just that one video that Vadim Newquist has like made, as it were. And it's not like Vadim Newquist has like, well, I can't be certain as there's or don't know in this, but like, I don't think Vadim Newquist has actually like directed targeted harassment against like Steve Shives, but like kind of made a comedy video about the whole hashtag blocked by Steve Shives sort of thing too.
Hmm.
So even though Steve Shives has friends that are friends with Vadim Newquist as it were, that's cool on them, and he doesn't like judge them for that as were. But Steve Shives has personally has not forgiven Vadim Newquist for
Hmm.
joining into like that bandwagon as
I
well.
mean,
So
has Vadim ever apologized?
I, I don't know about that. So that there's that too as well. There's like, I don't know if like
Okay, David. That given the context, I think that's unacceptable, actually, because we're
yeah,
mostly talking about men who did a lot of attacking of women, and
yeah.
this is on the tail of a discussion of sexual assault.
Mhm.
I get where you're coming
Oh,
from. Ordinarily, I'd appreciate something like that, but I don't think
mhm.
here.
Yeah. TJ Kirk went after like a Rebecca Watson about like
Well, I'm not sure who
maybe.
Joden is talking about. DJ Kirk definitely went after Rebecca Watson. If Vadim went after Rebecca Watson, then that's
Mm.
that definitely puts him on the other side of the fence.
But yeah. From what I understand, Joe McClory, like Vadim
Oh,
was started
Jesus
down the
Christ!
bad road, but quickly turned around.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people would be like, "I'm not a white supremacist. I'm just a fan of Henry Ford and Russian plays." Yeah.
Would the Russian play be like something by Solzhenitsyn, or are we talking the Protocols of the Elders of Zion? Because that wasn't a play, I don't think.
Yeah.
But Henry Ford, definitely a white supremacist, who tried to start slave plantations in Brazil.
Oh yeah. And with that, I think we're at the 90-minute.
We are at the 90-minute mark, so
it's just the two of us, and we mentioned you have for the full 90 minutes.
we could talk about pop culture all day long. It's easy for us.
I at least have prepared a little bit with like the Danny Masterson and Russell Brand thing, which has like a lot. I like Swan Lake.
Oh, swans, white. Oh my God. All right. With that, I am on another podcast, Dungeons and Debacles. Maybe we'll be recording today. I haven't checked yet. A lot of fun, very different from this, and maybe we'll actually post something. If not, we'll just keep playing the game. And you have a bunch of stuff.
Yep, I have a YouTube channel which I've had done anything with for months. I don't know when I'm going back into it, but you can get your old stuff there. I have a Twitch channel. I'm going to be streaming later today. After I take care of something. I'm on Twitter. I'm on co-host. I'm on Tumblr, and I'm on Blue Sky. So you can follow me there to catch all my shows. So don't forget that Isaiah Taylor has like 2 YouTube channels: the Autistic Monitoring Society and Sinister Intelligence. And Isaiah Taylor has his own Instagram too, Isaiah Taylor 90. I think I got me wrong. Wasn't Shasovsky some variant of queer potentially? Probably. I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me. I said Sultan Yitsin, who I barely remember anything about.
Yeah. And
was he the archipelago guy?
Maybe, I don't know. Don't forget to cherry links that page, because like a lot of our friends, including Joey, the Heretic, Phoenix, Joanna Roberts, I have given them money. Not all of the money they need, but I have given them money, so like they have something. But like if you can help, if you have the ability to help out with that too, and capability of helping out with that, greatly appreciate it. But again, don't forget to share around charitylinks.page, or share around the various links that are listed there as well, to give to others. Chazovsky I mentioned because of Swan Lake. Okay, he probably did do Swan Lake as well. But yeah. Fluid Voice is probably off and on hiatus for a while, so no Fluid Voice tonight. Check out the Sexual Scholar, Erin Green. And she does her own thing, like the Left Turn and Across the Spectrum. Not sure if there's a show tonight of Across the Spectrum, but check out the Sexual Scholar, the Kama Sutra Scholar. Oh man, I don't have the thing up and ready to for her. But do check her out, because she does a lot of cool stuff. Very fun. No, Kama Sutra Scholar. Yep, there's our YouTube. I'll go ahead and just drop that link into the chat for all of you who haven't checked her out. Please do so. And other than that, I think that's we're ready to close the show, because don't forget to self-care.
Indeed, we are.
Yourself.
Yep. Remember, mutual aid includes self-care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Every time I wave, but.
And next week is going to be 250th. Erin's off tonight, but we like her. Yes, okay.
Yes.
Now, do subscribe to our channel. And next week's the 250th episode. I haven't planned anything.
We'll have to bring on a special guest. Let's get John Cena. He does Make-A-Wish. We're all dying. I can make